following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. Welcome into Main Street Sports. Today on this Tuesday edition, we'll be joined by Summertown boys basketball coach Wes Long after a thrilling overtime win last night on their home floor to advance to the Glass House. Also joining us, Chip Walters, his weekly visit on all things Blue Raider Network. It's Top 5 Tuesday. Aaron Rodgers, a little extra change in his pocket. We'll talk about that. Baseball update, we hope. And the Blue Cross Championships are underway. All that and more coming up next on Main Street Sports Today. Now, with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, here's the Sundrop kid from Alabama, Chris Yao.
Welcome into a Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today. It is a overcast outside kind of day, but not too bad. It's guess it could be worse. It's kind of chilly out there, though, and after the week we had last week, not really enjoying the new weather, but it is what it is. It's at least for now, Mo, our games are inside.
For now.
Until next week.
Until next week. Yeah. I was invited by some folks last night out to some baseball, and I'm like, not just yet.
Yeah. Give me another couple weeks.
Another few degrees, more specifically.
Just a little bit. That's right. Yeah. The 10-day forecast is looking pretty good as the week moves on. I think Friday is supposed to be like 70, but also 26 at night. So definitely good.
70 and 26.
That's right. But next week is looking really good, man. 65 on Monday, 67, 75, 74. Tuesday is going to be a little rough, 67 and cloudy. But other than that, it's going to be a good week next week for as softball and baseball get underway in and around the mid-state. I'm looking forward to it. But again, Blue Cross Championships are underway, and we're looking forward to it. We'll talk about the game that has finished. I guess two games. Two games have finished. One game is underway and in the middle of the third quarter. So we'll talk about that here momentarily and get to all of those other things JP told you about. It is Top 5 Tuesday, and we're going to talk about buzzer beaters, and for good reason. Plenty of them last night around high school and college. So we will get into it. But first, let's give you the results from last night and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown. This is your Tuesday Rundown brought to you by Jim Davis at Grow Live Give. Visit them at growlivegive.com or give them a call at 615-682-0022. Securities offered through IFP Securities, LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners, IFP member, FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through IFP Advisors, LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners, Registered Investment Advisor. IFP and Grow Live Give are not affiliated.
In Class 1A sectional action from last night, tough loss for Santa Fe, falling to West Carroll 54-52 at home. Also, Richland on the road drops a 58-50 decision at McKenzie. In Class 2A, Summertown with a 61-56 overtime win against visiting Gibson County. Milan defeats Fairview 47-37. It was East Nashville 69, Jackson County 32, and York Institute defeating Pearl Cone 67-51.
In Class 3A sectional action, East Robertson down Van Buren 70-48. It was Jackson North Side 47, Portland 43, and South Side 60-39 over Martin Luther King.
Also in 3A, it was Fulton 69, Page 61. In Class 4A, Cane Ridge defeated Walker Valley. I'm not sure that score's right. 65-35, 68-38 was that score, Cane Ridge over Walker Valley. Lebanon with the 65-57 win over Independence. It was Beach 54, Ravenwood 49. And Clarksville advances to Murphy Center with an 84-75 win over Memphis East.
Today's schedule in the ASUN Championship, Jacksonville, the Dolphins, not the Gamecocks, are at Bellarmine at Freedom Hall. It's 4 o'clock tip on ESPN2. Tennessee hosting Austin Peay in softball today. That's 3 o'clock on SEC Network. Plus, in baseball, 10th-ranked Tennessee is hosting James Madison. That's a 5 p.m. first pitch on SEC Network Plus as well. NBA action, Pelicans are at the Grizzlies, 6:30 on TNT, and the Preds are hosting the Stars at 7 o'clock, I assume, on Valley Sports South. That should do it for today's rundown. Like I said, Mo, the Blue Cross State Championships are underway, and currently, with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, Alcoa leads Westmoreland 29-25 behind the twin towers of the Pfeiffer sisters, who have 9 points, 16 rebounds, 4 blocks between the two of them, but also 6 personal fouls.
Oh.
So
take it to them.
Take it to them.
Take it to them. Get them out of there. Yeah. Sounds like we're set up for an interesting finish between Alcoa and Westmoreland. In the 2 earlier Class 2A quarterfinal matchups, it was Gatlinburg-Pittman with a 68-32 win over Scotts Hill, and Gibson County falling 53-50 to York Institute. So big win for the Lady Dragons up there in Jamestown. And
the
Dragonettes,
yep.
Not Lady Dragons.
Dragonettes.
Of
course,
I stand corrected.
You wouldn't have gotten me to believe it if it wasn't their Twitter handle.
Oh, hey, there you go. Dragonettes. Okay.
Your sister act did pretty well. 38 points in that one. Madison Hart with the double-double, 17 and 12. But just not enough. Great job by Gibson County. But here's where it gets interesting. Did you see anything?
I saw nothing.
All right. So fourth quarter, about 2. There's actually 2 minutes on the clock. Foul on I think it was Madison Hart that went to the line. She gets fouled. Mitch Wilkins expresses his excitement over finally getting a call, and gets teed up. 2 free throws go in, tie ball game. York goes down, knocks down both free throws, gets the ball, scores again. You're down 4 with 2 minutes to go, and that was the ball game.
Oh man, that's for a guy that's won more than 1,000 basketball games. I mean, I'm sorry. I'll preface this with an apology, but as Mike Vrabel would say, don't do stupid stuff to hurt the team.
I understand.
Oh,
getting upset.
You're talking to a guy who has been thrown out of more summer league baseball games that he really cares to remember. But I mean, I get it. I get the dismay that you may have, but that's tough.
It is not the way you want to end. And here's the thing. York Institute, I think, ended the game on like a 19-7 run or something. They were down 9 and outscored Gibson County 19-7 over the last few minutes. It was really
that's tough.
It was a good ball game, though. It really was.
That's a tough one to swallow. Got to be.
You know it was. And you know nobody's kicking himself more than Mitch Wilkins. But as we will probably talk about later in the show, only 32 games last night, and I don't believe that we had one of the 32 best crews in the building in Summertown. But hey, who am I and what do I know? I can tell you I've spent my entire evening and day defending the charge call in the mid-major tournament last night. What was it? It was
Who was it? Louisiana and Georgia?
Charleston and UNC Wilmington.
Oh, in the Big South? Is that what that is?
And I think so. There was a block charge call that went the way of Wilmington at the end of the game as they were up by 1. And it was definitely a charge, slowed down. It was certainly iffy in real time.
What block charge is an iffy?
Well, I can see why you would be upset if you were a coach. I can see why you would be upset if you are a fan. But once you slow it down, to me, it's pretty obvious. And to the rest of these people on the internet, it's not so obvious, apparently.
Well,
so
we can talk about obvious and not obvious. I mean, we'll get into it later, I guess. I don't know.
Sure. Man, looking forward to the rest of the week. The schedule, you can find TSSAsports.com. Obviously, 2A finishes up. Their quarterfinal game will be at 2:45-ish. And
that's Riverside and Westview.
Right. And then the 3A quarterfinals will start today, 4:30 and 6 over at Murphy Center in the Glass House. So come back with us. Wes Long joins us after their big win last night, sending their boys team to Murphy Center for the first time since 2011. So we'll be back. Wes Long joining us next on Main Street Sports Today. Stick around.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today. Glad to have you with us here on a Top 5 Tuesday. It's going to be a great day. I would ask what Wes Long's number one is, but I think I know it. The Top 5 topic today, Top 5 buzzer beaters of all time. And I don't think Wes Long would hesitate to say that last night's Gavin Burleson.
I think he's got a number one, like you said.
45 to 47 footer, depending on, how long you think Summertown's court is.
Well, we're going to find out.
Oh man. I'm excited about this next interview because when I talked to Wes last night, he was very emotional and very excited, and rightfully so. It was just a phenomenal night, a phenomenal atmosphere at Summertown. Literally the loudest I've ever heard a sporting venue in my life. So loud that I know after said buzzer beater, one official had his hands over his ears. He could not hear. So it was wild, a wild scene last night. But the Summertown Eagles are headed to the Glass House, to Murphy Center. They will take on East Nashville next Tuesday at 10 a.m. And joining us now is their coach, Wes Long. Coach, welcome in. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Coach, congratulations. We were discussing Gavin's buzzer beater to force overtime in another forum this morning, and it was estimated by one Chris Yao, who was on the scene, at 45 feet. And I said, well, it had to be longer than that because it was on the back side of the half court line. And he said, well, you got to remember, it's Summertown. So, Wes, how long is your court?
I've never put the tape measure to it. I've always heard, I've heard rumors, that kind of stuff. It's obviously not, probably regulation. It's a touch shorter. I'd say 45 feet. The 45 feet shot was probably a pretty close estimate.
Well, there you go.
I'll take it.
Chris Yao, correct as always. Yeah.
I'll take it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Wes, how did you guys get to that point of needing a 45-footer to tie?
It was such an emotional roller coaster of a game. It's like Chris said, the atmosphere was unreal. I thought we got out to a decent lead. We came out playing with our hair on fire. I thought we got some good shots, rebounded it well. Was able to get their big guy in foul trouble, which really helped. But man, Gibson County battled back as anybody would do at this stage of the season. And man, they really dominated the glass on us for the second, third, and fourth quarter. A lot like our last couple of games have been in the region finals and the region semis. We were just trying to hang on right there. I think our first shot defense is still pretty good. We're just having a hard time finishing possessions on the glass, and that's where Gibson County really attacked us.
Wes, relative to Saturday night's game that you were at between the Summertown and Gibson County girls, what kind of crowd did Gibson County bring Monday? I would imagine making that trip twice in 3 days was perhaps a little taxing for some of them.
I'm sure it was, but as storied as Gibson County is, they traveled really well. And, those fans, they are part of what made the atmosphere so great here. Gibson County, especially on the girls' side, has always been really, really good. And to play a school and a program like that at this stage, it was a special night last night for sure.
I will say this. Gibson County had a great crowd, but part of that is it's easy to make that trip twice if you're already on the way to Murfreesboro for the next morning. So half of their fans were already headed to Murfreesboro. They just stopped in Summertown on the way. And so that, I think, helped the Gibson County crowd for sure. I know the Hart parents were sitting behind me as they were you on Saturday night. So it was a great atmosphere. I mean, you heard the GC chants all night. You heard Summertown, cheering all night. And you can't ask for a better atmosphere. As a matter of fact, last night may have changed my mind on the playoff format of how to get to state. And that home game right before state is that's a massive help, Wes, just being able to play in front of your crowd.
Absolutely, it is. It really gives us a lot of momentum. Gives us a home court advantage. For us to finish the season undefeated here at home, we knew coming in, we have to like our chances being unbeaten and beating some really good teams here at home this season. We beat Loretta at home and beat Columbia Academy at home, White House Heritage. to beat all those teams at home, that really gave us a big confidence boost. Lawrence County in overtime, Creekwood. We've been really tested at home this season, and with some great atmospheres, and that kind of gave us a lot of confidence hosting that game last night.
You know, Wes, we're talking with Wes Long, Summertown boys basketball coach here on Main Street Sports today. The Eagles headed to Murfreesboro coming off of their 61-56 overtime win in Monday's Class 2A sectionals over visiting Gibson County. And Wes, Chris, texted me about how emotional you were following the game last night, and understandably so. But what were the thoughts immediately following the game that had you in such an emotional state?
Well, being from Summertown, it's such a special place. Growing up here my entire life, my parents graduated from here. When you're born and raised in this gym, man, it's so special. And to have Coach Trotter, who I played for here, his son to play for me, for him to trust me and coach his son, Coach Burleson, who, is the all-time leading scorer here, for me to be able to coach his son. It's just one big circle. And this being my 8th year back at Summertown, hey, we've had some really good regular season teams. We've been to a sub-state. We've lost in overtime at Columbia Academy in a sub-state. But, I don't know. I'm sure every coach, it just starts creeping in your mind. You don't want to let down your community. You don't want to let down your school. And these guys can tell you, just playing for people that love this school as much as you do, and coaching here, it was relief, and it was just a sense of pride to be able to carry on what so many great coaches and players have done before us.
I was fortunate enough at the beginning of my journalism career to cover a Franklin High School team that won a state championship in '89, and I graduated from Franklin 7 years before that. It's just kind of a taste, Wes, of what you're dealing with. Working at your alma mater and being able to enjoy that sort of success has got to be, particularly special for all the reasons you just pointed out.
It is, and I don't know. It may be hard for some, to compare it to, but it's like you said, just being born and raised here, and I just told the guys, a night like last night is something they're going to remember forever, and it's going to be, and the people in the stand, and all it did was light a fire for another generation to come and want to be a Summertown Eagle, and live through those moments just like they did. And and I think that's what makes Summertown really special. Is just trying to carry on that tradition that we've had for so long.
You remember that time Gavin Burleson hit a half-court shot to send us to state tournament? Seriously, that's going to be 15, 20 years from now, and people will still remember that shot. It's going to be really special for sure. As you see the video there, that I got hit from behind and dropped my phone.
Oh, okay. So that's why it ended so abruptly. I was wondering about that.
Hey, Wes, were you surprised that they didn't try to foul you and put you on the free throw line to only allow 2 points there?
A little bit, yes. Especially with the way that we have struggled from the free throw line lately, and rebounding. I think that's two of our weaknesses right now. It hasn't been. This is probably the best free throw shooting team I've had in 8 years. We just struggled a little bit, but it's been so tough for us to secure rebounds and that kind of thing as well. It did surprise me a little bit, but that's one of those things that's been a big a debate topic for a long time now with coaches. Do you foul in that situation? Because you also run the risk of fouling while he's shooting it. And at the same time, you run the risk of, if you do that, him making it. So I think you can always look back, and hindsight 2020, do some things different. Fortunately, the ball bounced our way last night.
And then once you got it to over, I guess the situation was if we can just get them to overtime, we got them right where we want them, right?
Yeah, until they hit a 3 coming
You know,
out.
Yeah, you had to feel pretty good until, you know, the opening tip, they hit a 3, and I thought, well, that didn't rattle them too much, you know. They did a great job of regrouping, you know, and part of me was worried about our guys because, you know, it took us a little bit to get everybody back on the bench and ready to go for overtime. You know, it was really, really special night.
Mr. Basketball finalist Gavin Burleson scores 8 of 10 in overtime and just had a phenomenal finish to the game from the free throw line. You talked about how you struggled a lot through the game, but when it mattered, 24 knocked them down. And now you get to play the other Eagles, a red version, 10 o'clock next Tuesday morning. And what does today look like practice? Did you give them the day off?
We did have the day off. You know, that's the benefit of having a week before your next game.
I bet you did. Well, how are you feeling going into this one? Have you had a chance to even think about East Nashville yet?
Yeah, you know, we went ahead and got some film. You know, it's a scary team. You know, they've been the number 1 team in AA all year. And they got some players. Got a Mr. Basketball finalist themselves. You know, we're going to have to be able to handle their pressure. Hopefully, you know, we shoot it well. You know, it just all, you know, kind of comes down to how people play at the Murphy Center. You know, teams are different there. You know, the best thing we can do is we got to get better handling the basketball under pressure. We got to get better, you know, executing, knocking down free throws.
Wes, one of the things that for as long as I can remember has been a big deal as teams head to Murphy Center for the state tournament is the shooting background being so much different with all the space behind the backboards and that kind of thing. A lot of people try to get into some larger gyms to try to prepare themselves for that. What are y'all's plans over the next few days as far as that goes?
That's definitely a plan is to get into you know, some bigger gyms and mix it up a little bit. You know, but first I think we've got to get healthy, get rested, get our legs back in under us, and then go from there. Because even at home last night, you know, we didn't shoot it great at home last night, and you know, I think that might be the one benefit of us having the first game of the week next week. Is we'll get a few extra minutes before tip off to get some shots up on the floor, just because there's not a game in front of ours.
He may not have taken a tape measure to Summertown's court, but he might take one to Murphy Center and hang it from the rim and say, "Look, it's 10 feet, just like in Summertown." So,
are we sure the rims are 10 feet up? I mean, if the court's not 94
hey, I don't
long,
know.
I mean,
we've not taken.
I'm just saying, yeah.
We actually had the rims remounted and measured this year before the season, so they are good, level and everything.
That's good information to have.
That is good information to have.
Wes
I'm
Long.
not having an answer for you. I'll get my rolling tape measure out, and I'll have an answer for you next time I speak to you on the floor.
That sounds good. We'll check in with you on Tuesday, if not before.
We appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for taking some time with us as always, man. It's always a good time.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. I asked him during that girls' semifinal region game. I said, "You about ready for baseball season?" He said, "No, I'm going to try to keep basketball going for just a little bit longer."
There we go.
And so last night I talked to Coach Burleson and I said, "Sorry, Coach, you got to wait a little bit longer." He said, "I think I'll handle it. I can deal with it."
Gonna push some games back, I'd imagine.
Probably.
I mean, if Grayson Burleson isn't available for baseball, they're probably not gonna play.
There's that. Yeah. Have you ever seen Grayson's Twitter? It's phenomenal. He hasn't used it in years,
Mm-hmm.
and his bio just says baseball. I love it. It just says baseball.
There you go. Hey, short, sweet, and to the point.
Well, he's a pretty darn good basketball player too, and I'm excited about watching them next week. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna talk baseball on the other side of the break. So
maybe Grayson will be listening since they're off from practice.
He's got nothing better to do.
There we go. You ain't got
That's exactly. Yeah. Oh man, come back with us here on Main Street Sports Today. We'll be back after this.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today. Here on this Top 5 Tuesday. Looking forward to getting into our top 5 buzzer beaters. I'm just going to ask, we're keeping this to basketball, right?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I thought about hockey maybe, but no.
Well, I thought about football. I mean, technically some Hail Marys, but yeah, I think that's not the point.
No, I don't think that's what you think of, or not what most people think of when they hear the phrase buzzer beaters. So yeah,
right.
Yeah, we're keeping it to basketball, and I'm keeping it to pretty much NCAA tournaments.
I've got one high school and 2 pro, 2 college. It's not bad, I feel like.
No.
Not the only buzzer beater, and we'll get into that before our top 5. Did plenty of buzzer beaters last night, at least 3. So let's talk about some baseball though, because apparently Major League Baseball has put another deadline on today. And if they don't get a deal done today, they're going to cancel more games. But apparently 162 games are still on the table. If they can get a deal done, they'll reschedule those that they canceled earlier. So
what's funny is the MLBPA is advancing the notion that Major League Baseball has decided that a 162 game schedule is too long, and so they don't mind losing a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever, to get the schedule where they feel like it should be. Why not just change the schedule? I mean, so if you feel like 162 is too long, let's address the schedule.
How do you feel about that?
I'm not playing.
No, but I mean, if you were in these negotiations, would you be open to shortening the season?
I think from a player standpoint, they feel like their salaries are going to go down if the schedule goes down. Their salaries are based on 162 games. I would imagine is their thought process. So they don't want to do anything that's going to get into their pockets. But for the good of the game, I mean, if 144 games is what they need, if 154 games is what they need, to make this thing more palatable to the owners, to where we can get back on the field.
Do owners want to shorten the season? Wouldn't that take money out of their pocket too?
Well, you would think. I don't know what the owners are thinking.
I'm with you.
And
I have no idea.
I think that's the thing. We don't know what they're thinking or the rationale for what they're thinking.
Right.
Larger bases.
The players have been pretty open with, here's what we want. We haven't really heard from the owners' side at all.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that's an issue.
What good is larger bases? Why is that important to you? MLB owners, please tell me. I don't understand why that's important to you.
I can
banning the shift.
I can kind of see what would come from the larger bases. I certainly see what would come from banning the shift, but why is the result of the larger bases and the result of banning the shift, why is that important enough to stop the game?
Well, the fact is that's not what's stopping it. What's stopping the game is the difference between the players and owners on the cap, the CBT or whatever, which is the players want to cap at like 238, I think, and the owners are at like 220. And so getting to 229 is almost impossible at this point. So
splitting the difference,
is not an option. Apparently, if it was, they'd be at spring training right now.
But again, I don't know if being at spring training on March 8th is that important to the owners.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine on that one.
It's just really frustrating because I don't know that the owners are negotiating in good faith.
Yeah, I don't know that they are either. I mean, we just don't know. And
it feels like they're being obstructionist
for the sake of just being an obstructionist. Because I don't understand why, I understand having a floor on the salary. Look, the fact is that there are owners out there who don't care about winning. They don't. They're going to put a product out there. Enough people are going to watch it because they've always been fans of the Pirates, or they've always been fans of the Cubs or the Reds, and et cetera. So you have some owners who are just like, why would I spend money when I'm not?
I can put that money in my pocket.
Right. So it's working out just fine for them until people stop going to games.
That's it. That is completely it. And it's funny. I was having this thought process about the NFL last night with this Calvin Ridley situation, and the NFL is going to do what it wants to, because as much as people complain about different individual situations, they're going to continue to go to games. They're going to continue to watch it on TV, and they're going to continue to buy the merchandise. And if some fans don't, other fans will. So we don't have to adjust our behavior because it's not going to cost us anything.
That's exactly where we're at. Now, apparently the 14-team playoff is back on the table, which I don't understand. And I don't, mostly because I don't understand how the format would work. Apparently,
no, when you say 14-team playoff, you're talking about 14 teams
total.
So 7 and 7.
Correct. Okay. So you'd have the 3 division winners and 4 wild cards.
4 wild cards.
Right. I'd want to understand the format. Are these wild card? Are these 2 wild card series? Are they going to be
against each other?
The 4 wild card teams would play each other to see, I guess, who gets
to play the 2 and who gets to play the 3 among the division champions.
Well, the 1, 2, and 3. I guess I'm not sure how that works. So I see. I don't know
what's the format. And there's so many questions there. In a 7-team playoff, are the 4 wild cards going to have to play each other, or is it going to be seeded and 2 plays the worst wild card, 3 plays the second worst wild card, and
The one
other
gets a
2
bye?
wild card? Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like a lot of it's being explained.
Again, a 12 team makes sense to me in my head. I can make that work. But I still don't understand.
Yeah, well, what's a 12 team would be 3 wild cards
It would,
from
yes.
each league. So
Which would presumably play the 3 division champions.
but where's
I don't know who gets that extra bye.
I think anything more, some kind of way you have to incentivize being the overall regular season league champ. I think there's got to be some buys in there somewhere.
Well, in a 12, you'd have 1 and 2 would get a bye, and then you'd have 3 and
so
the
you're
3
gonna
wild
have 2
cards.
wild cards playing each other.
Right. You'd seed the wild cards 1, 2, and 3, and the worst wild card would play the 3 seed, and then the other 2 would play and go from there. And I can see that working, but I just
if that's the case, I would be more in favor of the 14 team than the 12 team, to be honest, because that incentivizes you to win the whole thing or to post the best record in the regular season, because everybody else has to play an extra round.
No more reach your magic number and
coast.
I mean, you got to win every game.
You got a bye to play for, just like in the NFL, where they're taking 7 teams to the playoffs, and
Right.
the number 1 team sits out a week.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. All I know is they're talking about potentially canceling more games. I can't imagine that's going great, but I did see a tweet that said morale was higher than it had been
among
players and owners over the last couple of.
I don't know how low morale has been among owners.
Well, I mean, I feel like the tweet was basically saying that between the two, it felt like there was more likely a chance to get a deal done than there had been since that long night they had
last week.
Was it last week?
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like it's been a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was last Monday night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was last Monday night.
And then Tuesday, they came back and the owners accused the players of being farther off than they were the night before, and really created some backlash among the players. So,
well, anyway, that's a continuing and ongoing discussion. Hopefully we'll have a deal soon. I know there are minor league players are at spring training.
mm-hmm.
They're down there. They're getting ready. Season will begin in April. So
April 5th.
If you are looking for baseball, you can find it at the current First Horizon Park, maybe future TD Bank Park. I don't know. But it's going to, yeah. And before the season starts, we'll, of course, have some of our friends from the Nashville Sounds on to tell you all about the things they've got going on. But until then, we just continue worrying about Major League Baseball and whether or not it's going to come back as I wear my Braves gear. It's time for halftime, and it should be a lot of fun. It's International Women's Day, so we'll give some shout-outs on the other side. Y'all stick around. Main Street Sports Today returns.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Well, we have another final in the TSSAA state girls basketball tournament in Class 2A. You said, Mo, it was
Alcoa 47, Westmoreland 38, the final.
47-38. Man.
Ansley and Amelia Pfeiffer, 12 points, 21 boards.
21 boards.
4 blocks. That'll do it.
It won't hurt you.
Alcoa out-rebounded Westmoreland by 10. Bailey Norman with 14 and Anna Creasy with 13. 13 points and 7 rebounds for Anna Creasy in the loss.
So
Westmoreland wraps up a 29-4 season with the loss. And Alcoa will face the winner of the
Westview
Riverside game. That should be starting any second now.
It most certainly should. So shout out to the 3 teams who have won today: Gatlinburg, Pittman, York Institute, and Alcoa getting big wins. And shout out to the awesome women in our lives. Sarah, of course, my wonderful wife, and Charlie. I'll give a special shout out to my grandmother, Suzanne, who drove all the way up. She's like, she's 82, I believe. Drove all the way up here for Charlie's birthday and stayed the night, and then drove back. I know it's
82 and driving herself still.
Oh yeah,
that's
just
awesome.
Doing a great job there. So we are lucky. We spend every Thanksgiving at her house, and she just does a phenomenal job. So always a good time. But give you guys a chance to give some shout outs to the special women in your lives.
Well, there's a bunch of them, clearly. My mom, Mary, who you met at the Hall of Fame dinner. Obviously, Jody. My sister, Vanessa.
Yeah, who I met at the Hall of Fame dinner.
Yeah, and my daughter, Brandy, who you did not meet.
I did not meet, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm sure JP has some wonderful women in his life as well that he would like to recognize during International Women's Day.
Sure, it goes without saying, of course. Jody with a Y. My Jody with a Y. Yep.
My Jody with an I. Yeah.
Yours is with an I. And, of course, my mother, who has been gracious throughout her whole life dealing with me. So appreciate that. And my sister, too. My sister, Sarah Williams. Shout out to her. Great role model.
We do love the one.
You know those bracelets, WWJD?
Uh-huh.
If I had one, it would be WWSD for my sister.
What would Sarah do?
What would Sarah do? That's what I always internally think about any, kind of decision on certain things. Yeah.
That's kind of funny. So you've got a Sarah and a Jody. Chris has got a Sarah and I've got a Jody.
Yep. Mm-hmm. There's a reason the cosmic universe, I think, has brought the 3 of us together.
There it is.
Through the women of our lives. There we go. Awesome. Perfect.
Man, all right, we got a lot coming up in the second half, so you guys stick around here on Main Street Sports today. We'll be back after a quick message from the TSSAA.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
It is the second half of Main Street Sports today. Coming up, we'll chat with Chip Walters, the Blue Raider Network, on all things MTSU. Also, NFL quarterbacks. Well, one got some extra pocket change today. Another just finalized a trade. We'll tell you about it. Stay tuned. That's coming up. And it's Top 5 Tuesday. Buzzer beaters. Yeah, we've seen a couple over the last couple of nights. what ranks in our minds. So stay tuned. All that coming up. Second half of Main Street Sports Today. Back to the Hall of Famer Mo Patton and the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yao.
Welcome back in to Main Street Sports Today. Talk a little NFL here because the big news of the day. One, Aaron Rodgers has signed has agreed to come back to play in Green Bay. We don't know what the contract is. He says he's not signed anything. So reportedly 4 years, $200 million, 153 of which is guaranteed. Reportedly from Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, among others.
What's interesting is, so that news came out. Then the other news came out. Then Aaron tweeted, wait a minute, I've not signed anything. Which it sounds to me, given the divadom of Aaron Rodgers, that he's just trying to keep the shelf life out there a little bit longer regarding him and his new deal.
Yeah, I feel like this is definitely Aaron being Aaron.
Because the other news was threatening to knock him off the pedestal of – well, the Denver Broncos now have a quarterback.
Yeah, so
they had one before, but
did they?
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, so Rappaport's tweet comes out, and Pat McAfee says, my sources say that there's not a deal in place. Well, his source was Aaron Rodgers. And so everybody keeps going, and eventually McAfee's like, yes, he's going to be in Green Bay, but he's not signed anything. Then Aaron tweets, I'm going to be in Green Bay, but I've not signed anything. And so right in the middle of all this, big trade in the AFC West, Russell Wilson, 2 returns and a 4th-round pick.
Don't forget that 4th-round pick. Now,
returns
for 2 ones.
2 ones.
2 twos.
That's correct.
A 5th, Drew Lock, and 2 other players,
including Noah Fant.
Okay. Now I saw that tweeted, and I have to be honest. Apparently there's some significance to Noah Fant.
He's a mid-round kind of
tight end.
Yeah, but he's not really going to be anything special. But he is one of those Iowa guys, so you never know.
Iowa tight ends, huh?
You never know. That's what I was looking at. I didn't know if he had played at Iowa or not.
Right?
Oh. Well, yeah, I was looking up to make sure that I thought he went to Iowa, but I wasn't sure. He did.
Oh. They do. They are kind of tight end, aren't they?
They really are.
I guess you got to do something.
If you're going to do something well, pick one, I guess. But is Drew Lock going to be okay in Seattle? Is he going to be the guy in Seattle? I can't feel like he's going to be. But otherwise, where do you go?
You know who's really upset right now? The DK Metcalf.
Poor DK. It's interesting because the guy who was kind of their sleeper to be the backup in Seattle, based on his preseason performance, is now the quarterback of the Birmingham Stallions in the USFL. So I'm curious, if he has a really good year, you might see him move on to go back up to Seattle and compete for that backup role. His name is, oh goodness, hold on. Alex McGee. And
I'm not familiar.
Well, I wasn't either, but let's see if it doesn't give his stats. He's been with the Seahawks in 18, the Jaguars in 19, the Texans in 19 and 20, and the Seahawks in 2021. But yeah, apparently he was on the practice squad a couple times and was. A lot of folks were high on him during his preseason stuff. So I'm curious if he might have a chance to be the backup there, if Drew Lock is even going to be an option, or if they're just going to cut him and say, see ya.
I'm interested, as you bring this scenario up, in the number of guys that play in the USFL and then go to training camp.
That's basically what they're going to do.
Because that's a lot of football.
A lot of football. I mean, you're going to see probably 10% of players in the USFL who will get training camp invites. Now, what that means once they get there, who knows? But I do think you're going to see quite a few. And we saw it with FCS players who played in the spring and then played in the fall. It got really tiring, really tiresome really quick.
Well, the thing is, those guys, what they play, 5-6 games?
I think they played 6 unless you went to the playoffs and then played, 2 or 3 more.
Right. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on it.
It will. And so now we don't know where Seattle's going to go with a quarterback. I guess Drew Lock is their de facto number one right now. But this leads me to my draft question. Is there a quarterback in this draft that you would take in the first round? Is there any quarterback in the draft you would take in the first round?
I guess it depends on how badly you need a quarterback.
Yes, it's possible.
I mean, if you don't have one, what is it they say? In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So, I mean, if you don't have a quarterback, then all of a sudden some of these guys look a lot better than maybe they would under normal circumstances. I mean, I think Matt Corral is probably the projected number one. Now, whether you go, no. Right now, it's Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis are both ahead of Corral. Question is, I don't know that either of them is a better NFL prospect than Corral. I saw a CBS mock draft that had Corral coming to the Titans. I wouldn't be. I would not have an issue with that. I would be surprised if that was the pick, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't be mad about it. When first round? In the first round, we don't have a second round pick, so there you go. He ain't gonna make it to the third. No. How much does the success of Joe Burrow have on the prospectivity of Kenny Pickett, with the biggest knock on him being his small hands, which also was the biggest knock on Joe Burrow? Well, I mean, everybody's different. It is, but still, if that's the biggest knock, then I mean, it's less of a knock. The thing is, and I know it would be interesting to know how many times Joe Burrow has fumbled, because Lord knows he's been hit. All right, real quick before we get out of here, who wins a Super Bowl first? Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, or Ryan Tannehill? Give me those again. Russell Wilson in Denver, nope. Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, or Ryan Tannehill? I think I have to go with Burrow. I'd probably be inclined to agree with you. But they have to address that offensive line. Oh, there's no question there. Lord knows he's been hit. Lord knows he's been hit. I can't find fumbles anywhere on – oh, there it is. Fumbles. He's fumbled 14 times in 26 games. That's a lot. Is it? I mean, 14 for 20 in 26. One every other game, basically. Yeah. So got to look out for those small hands. I guess so. Let's talk Chip Walters, the Blue Raider Network, coming at you. MTSU is getting set, coming off of a couple rough losses on the road, but getting set for the Conference USA tournament. So come back with us. The voice of the Blue Raiders joins us after this.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Welcome back in to Main Street Sports today.
You sure?
Well, I just making sure that I'm good. I hope I'm good. I have no way of knowing.
Yeah,
but
we'll find out.
We will, in fact, as we get ready to bring in the voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters, who was out and about traveling over the weekend and making stops in Charlotte last week, and then Middle Tennessee State playing Old Dominion over the weekend. So we'll find out what's on tap for the Conference USA tournament as we bring in the voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters. What's going on, buddy?
Well, doing okay. Actually, literally within the last 5 minutes, just got into our hotel we're actually staying in Plano, which is 5 minutes down the road from the Ford Center at the Star. And so everybody just we got lunch here in just a minute. So, it's had a good flight. So we're here and ready to get going. The guys will be, I'm sure the women they may be at practice right now. I haven't seen their schedule, but the guys have a practice today and tomorrow at a local high school, and then get ready to play on Thursday.
Both the men and the women play on Thursday?
Yep, women play at 2, the men play at 8 at the Ford Center, and then should both win, they would kind of almost flip times for Friday. So for the guys, if they win, it's a very quick turnaround. If you win the 8 o'clock game on Thursday, you have to play a 2 o'clock game on Friday, and that's just the league has done some things where on Friday the women play at night, the men play in the afternoon. On Thursday, it's the other way around. So that's just part of their efforts of being equitable for both the men and the women.
Hey, equity. How about
there you go.
NCAA, y'all listening? I tell you, Chip, this is really a fan-friendly concept that Conference USA has put together for the basketball tournament. As you said, both the men and the women playing at the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, Texas. I'm not sure how prevalent this idea is across other conferences, but being able to see, if you are a fan of a school, being able to see both teams play relatively conveniently it's got to be pretty cool.
Well, it is very fan friendly. You're right, because and this even goes back to our days in the Sun Belt when the Sun Belt tournament was at Hot Springs for several years, and they had they had a main arena, and then they built kind of an auxiliary arena here at the Ford Center. And for folks who don't know, the Ford Center at the Star, that is the worldwide headquarters of the Dallas Cowboys. The Ford Center is actually the indoor 100-yard facility that seats 12,000 people for football. That and it's connected. You go out some doors right onto the Cowboys outdoor practice field. The office building is connected to this thing, but it's what they do is they basically have a curtain that goes right down the 50-yard line, and they build
2 courts, I assume.
We just lost Chip.
Yeah.
He dropped off. Hopefully he'll get back on.
Hopefully he will get back on, but I mean, I guess he getting settled into his hotel room and that kind of thing, and things maybe didn't go quite as smoothly as we would have hoped. But yeah, so
Middle is going to play the 8:00 game on Thursday against the winner of game 3 in that. So I guess that's Charlotte and Rice. So that should be no.
Middle. No,
they play
Middle.
UTEP and Old Dominion.
Yeah. There we go.
Well,
that game is UTEP and Old Dominion.
So Wikipedia has this all screwed up. That's the problem.
It looks like Conference USA has it all screwed up as well. Oh, okay. So I don't know.
I've got the bracket here.
Okay,
this is the bracket.
That looks kind of like that whack bracket that you were concerned with.
Maybe a little, but Middle and UAB on a crash course for the semifinals because North Texas and Western are on the other side. And boy, a Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky final would be
in Frisco,
Texas. Unfortunately, but would be a lot of fun.
That becomes a little bit more than 100 miles of hate right there.
You got to travel a little farther, but it's still not what you want to. You definitely don't want to see North Texas if you're, in
if you can
finals.
get Western to take care of your dirty work, then that'd be so much the better. What's the women's bracket looking like?
On the women's side, you have. Let's see here. I had to pull up the women's bracket, which has number 1 Charlotte, number 2 1 East Charlotte, 2 West North Texas. Middle is the 2 East seed, which means that they are on the very bottom part of the bracket with the double bye. They'll get the winner of Southern Miss, and the winner FIU Florida Atlantic will play Southern Miss. That winner will play Middle, and they could see La Tech in the semifinals, which is the number 1 seed from the Western bracket.
Okay. It sounds as if maybe we have Chip back. Do we have Chip back?
We do.
We do have Chip back. Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders, rejoining us here on Main Street.
Sorry, I didn't know what happened. I'm trying, just like I said, just walked in trying to get a handle on the Wi-Fi here in the building. So, but no, I don't know where I dropped out. But
you said that there was a curtain and they were building 2 courts. Is that what they're doing?
Yeah. It's 2 identical courts, and the curtain actually has a Twitter handle. And Chris, this is right down your alley.
Oh,
it's at CUSA Curtain, and it's very snarky. So you'd love it.
Oh, I'm following it now.
So, by the way, I'm guessing that you're pulling for Bellarmine today, right?
Oh, you can bet I'm pulling for Bellarmine. Meanwhile, my partner over here is pulling against Ray Harper. He doesn't care who wins as long as Ray Harper doesn't. So
understand. But, I was going to say that yesterday was postseason awards came out, and 6 different Lady Raiders were involved in that, and 3 different Middle Tennessee players, and Coach Nick McDevitt named Conference Coach of the Year. So that was all very exciting, and I think there's probably a couple of guys who say, well, I thought I did a pretty good job, and let that be a fire lit under them that this week. So we'll see how that rolls.
So, Chip, speaking of at CUSA Curtin, okay, so they've not tweeted since 2018, but the third tweet down is a quote tweet of John Rothstein. Middle Tennessee will hire UNC Asheville's Nick McDevitt as its next head basketball coach per a source. They quote tweeted and said, Middle has a new coach. Question is, will MTSU maintain, improve, or take a hit? Well, the first reply to that from Paul Ensign, who covers UAB, says, big hit, but they will be fine in the long run.
Wow,
And
how prophetic.
the next 2 years will be a little tough, but if they stick with it, they will like him. And here they are 3 years later. And ladies and gentlemen,
They like
the
it.
number one seed in the East is Middle Tennessee State. So that's pretty impressive right there.
Somebody needs to grab up Paul Ensing and head to someplace.
Well, as long as you're not Calvin Ridley.
What they gonna do to him?
He can't do nothing
What they
now.
gonna do to him at this point? Yeah. Chip.
Anyway,
I wanted to mention over the weekend, specifically in the Old Dominion women's game, one Rick Ensel picked up his 400th career victory at the collegiate level and became the 14th active coach in Division I women's basketball to win their first 400 games as a collegiate head coach at their first collegiate job. But Rick is the only coach amongst that bunch to do it at his alma mater. And we talked to Wes Long, the Summertown boys coach, a little bit ago about, coaching at your alma mater and the added degree of pride in being successful there. And I've got to imagine that there's a lot of that for Rick in reaching this milestone as well.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And, 400 at Middle, 1,000 total wins, 8 Hall of Fames. He's done so much in the women's game and is one of the all-time icons for sure. And his last Saturday was also Legends Weekend, and so many of his former players and Lewis Bivens' former players and Larry Joe Inman's former players all came back, but they all celebrated what Coach Ensel has accomplished, and I would not Calvin Ridley against them this week at all.
He's now a verb. Calvin Ridley is a verb.
That's awful. That's awful. Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders, joining us here on on Main Street Sports today. There we go.
With you.
This is here for a reason,
so
right?
we can read it when we need to.
So we know what show we're on. Shoot. Chip, stepping away from basketball, what else is going on with Blue Raiderism these days?
Well, the baseball team continues its march around the Southeast as they were supposed to play today at Alabama, but thunderstorms predicted. They went ahead and banged that one earlier today because it looked like there was not going to be any way to get it in, because Middle was going to make a day trip down and back, and then they will be leaving Thursday morning for Auburn. So this will be the 4th straight weekend that they will have played on the road. And then we'll finally they played a game against Lipscomb at home, but after this weekend, they'll be at home next Tuesday for Austin Peay. And then voila, it's conference time. So I think having the game rained out today may be a blessing in disguise. I think this team had gotten a little road weary, but now they have the opportunity, to go to Auburn and finish up the non-conference, the big portion of the non-conference season. So that's what lies ahead there. Softball got a couple of nice wins the other day, as they have played everywhere from San Diego, California to Madeira Beach, Florida, and just about all points in between, but still waiting for them to kind of get back home, get their home season going, and really kind of just get a good idea of what, I think there's a lot of potential on Jeff Breeden's team. So we'll see about that pretty soon.
You mentioned the Austin P baseball game next week that'll have some interest for some folks down here in Murray County, as a pair of Spring Hill former teammates will be going at it. Matt Jocelyn for Austin P and Bryson Thomas for MTSU. Bryson, who hit one deep down at Mobile over the weekend, apparently. That never happens.
Well, and Bryson has kind of been he's been the Swiss Army knife during his career at Middle. He's done a little bit of everything. He's pitched some, played in the field, and obviously can bring a big bat to the plate.
Speak softly and carry a big stick.
I would just like to mention that Tuesday game is $2 Tuesday and T-shirt Tuesday. I don't know if they give you a T-shirt or if you're supposed to wear a T-shirt. I'm not entirely sure how that goes, but it's T-shirt Tuesday and $2 Tuesday, so you can get into the Reese for $2.
And I think that's the first night game of the year too. Isn't it a 6 o'clock game?
You know what? That's a good question. I do believe it is a 6 p.m. first pitch. That's correct. So
there you go. Let's hope for good weather.
Let's do, yeah, because otherwise it can get kind of bitter this time of year once the sun goes down.
Not unlike you two.
There you go. I was going to say when the sun goes down, it gets,
Yeah.
It's not nearly as nice as that Uncle Cracker Kenny Chesney version.
No, not at all. Not this time of year.
Chip Walters, voice of the Blue Raiders. As always, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for hanging out with us from
Thank
Frisco.
you so much for coming back.
Yeah.
And I hope that next Tuesday we're talking about postseason destinations.
That'll work. We look forward to that.
See you, boys.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
We will be back with our top 5 buzzer beaters of all time on Main Street Sports today. Y'all stick with us.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Welcome back in to Main Street Sports today as we count down to the end of Tuesday with a little countdown of our own in honor of Chattanooga's buzzer beating, I guess, prayer of a shot. I mean, if you go back and look at what he had to shoot over in order to make that shot last night, what a phenomenal basketball game that ended with a phenomenal shot again. So Chattanooga, in honor of
David John Baptiste.
That's right, David Jean Baptiste,
Mhm.
and of course Grayson Burleson's buzzer beater last night as well. Not Grayson, Gavin. We're going to count down our top 5 buzzer beaters. Should be fun. JP says he's out, so that's okay. We will forge on without him. Yeah, so let's save any honorable mentions in the event that they're in our top 5s, but we can start with number 5 and go from there. So you want to start, or I can start? It's up to you.
I'll start.
Go
One
ahead.
of the first ones I remember is U.S. Reed back in '81 for Arkansas, pushing them over Louisville. And I'll tell you, most of mine are NCAA tournament related, just because I've seen a lot of basketball and they start to run together. But that's one of the first ones I remember.
This will be, this is only in this list because of what happened afterwards, as it propelled the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship. But Big Shot Bob, 2002, over the Kings, trailing 2-1 in the Western Conference Finals, and Robert Horry drains the buzzer beater to tie that series. And like I said, the Lakers went on to win it. I think that one's probably a little bit bigger than the San Antonio one, because the San Antonio, there was time left. That one was an actual buzzer beater. It wasn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Big Shot Bob, baby.
Big Shot Bob. From where?
From the University of Alabama.
There we go. My number 4, I was at an NCAA women's tournament down in Ruston, Louisiana, and this one was on in the press room. Mike Miller of Florida defeating Butler back in 2000.
Never. I don't even acknowledge that shot exists.
You sound kind of grudgy.
I hate Florida.
Oh, really? It's funny. I hate Florida football.
No, I hate Florida.
I didn't I kind of enjoyed those Billy Donovan Florida teams.
They were fun to watch.
They were fun.
The reason I hate them is because when I was growing up, the video game, me and Matt Mitchell, the ostrich, the guy we had on from the Southern thing, that was what we did. We played NCAA basketball, we played NCAA football on PlayStation, and Mike Miller was my absolute arch nemesis, because that dude did not miss in that video game.
Well, what's funny about Mike Miller is, I mean, when he got to Florida, his big thing was he was a leaper.
Well, he could shoot the lights out when he got there.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's my number 4.
My number 4 is last night, Gavin Burleson. I mean, my goodness, come on. It was just incredible. The moment you had just had the dagger to your heart,
Sure.
To go down 3, and for him to have that shot in that moment, just incredible.
My number 3 was another one from the 1981 NCAA tournament. It was Danny Ainge going coast to coast for BYU to beat Notre Dame, and
anytime that happens, is
boom.
Yeah. Anytime you can beat Notre Dame, but especially if you're BYU.
Digger Phelps not very happy.
Man, that's a good one. I thought about that one. My number 3 is actually the Jordan's 89 game winner against the Cavs. And the reason it's funny because
over Craig Elo.
The Craig, I know. Poor Craig Elo.
Yeah.
So the reason that I remember that and have such fond memories of it. I mean, obviously I didn't remember I was 3, but it was the jump after that iconic picture
and the fist pump.
The fist pump.
Yeah.
The picture is just iconic.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's
the celebration after was certainly as big as the shot, and
sure,
maybe bigger.
As far as memory, you don't see video of the Elo shot. You see video of Jordan turning around and doing the fist pump.
Yeah.
So that's my number 3.
That's a good one. My number 2. I like fast guards apparently because Tyus Edney in '95, UCLA over Missouri, just running up the floor and beating everybody to the rim, and as you're watching it, it's like, why doesn't he pull up? Why doesn't he pull up? No, I'm pushing this, and he gets there.
It's funny because my least favorite buzzer beater of all time was in Greensboro, North Carolina, when I was with Huntington. 2.3 seconds left. We're up by 1, and we're at the free throw line. And coach calls timeout and says, miss it on purpose. Force them to.
You're at the free throw line.
No, I'm not at the free throw line.
No, your team.
Our team. I was definitely not at the free throw line. No. I was at the end of the bench.
Yeah, okay.
No. So we call timeout. Miss it on purpose. They can't. Even if they get the rebound, getting down the floor, making a shot, it's not going to happen.
Famous last words.
Shot goes up. Ball goes into the bottom left corner of the 96-foot long court in Greensboro, North Carolina. Their guard grabs it, dribbles all the way down the court, and shoots a layup in 2.3 seconds. How does he do that? The clock didn't start until we got to half court.
Were you playing the home team?
We were, in fact, playing the home team. We were, in fact. So that is my least favorite buzzer beater of all time, and I still get angry when I think about it.
Because it didn't beat the buzzer.
Because it certainly should not
have beaten the buzzer.
He certainly should have had to pull up, but he did not. He goes all the way, makes the layup. Ball game, we lose.
And nobody got shot, huh?
No, thankfully. Anyway, my number 2, and forgive me, Alex McDaniel. 1998, the first NCAA tournament I can remember. Valparaiso, Bryce Drew. Because Bryce misses a shot with 14 seconds to go. He misses a three-pointer that would have given Valpo the lead. Ole Miss gets the rebound, foul. Comes down, misses both free throws with 2 points. There was like 4 seconds left. Ball gets tipped out of bounds. Valpo ball. They throw a baseball pass, tips it back to Bryce Drew. He knocks it down. Valpo wins. I remember that because we were actually watching the tournament because I think Samford was in the tournament for the first time ever that year. We were watching it at school, but they were going back and forth between the two games, and I saw the buzzer beater. And man, it's the first one I remember actually seeing live, and pretty cool.
My number 1.
Number 1. Here we go.
Bryce Drew, Valpo over.
Oh man,
the hog pile on the court afterwards was, kind of like your Michael Jordan over Craig Elo and the celebration afterwards.
Forgive him, Alex McDaniel.
or don't. Yeah. No, that was and it was tough. I think Rob Evans was the coach at Ole Miss at the time, and really enjoyed him and what he did with that program.
Yeah,
that was huge.
It's the first one I actually remember seeing. My number 1, I'm going to go, and the only reason that this is my number 1 is because he could have given up. He could have watched the ball. He could have done anything in the world except to catch it and dunk it. Lorenzo Neal.
Not Lorenzo Neal.
Lorenzo Charles, not Lorenzo Neal. Goodness gracious.
No. Not Lorenzo Neal.
Lorenzo Charles could have watched the ball just go out of bounds, but instead he catches it. And again, the celebration. Jimmy V running around the court looking for anybody.
Somebody hug me, please. Yeah.
He was looking for anybody.
That was my freshman year in college. We were watching that in the lobby at the amazing. And I'm surprised that I did not think about that. I guess I don't know why I didn't think of that as a buzzer beater, but yeah, that's
because he caught it and dunked it.
Probably, yeah.
Because you think of shots, right? But he could have just let it go, but he didn't. He runs the baseline, catches it midair, an air ball, and dunks it. Ball game. And Hakeem Olajuwon is just looking around like, what just happened? So that's it, baby. That is our top five buzzer beaters, and it's a pretty good list. I thought we only had the one that crossed over, so that's pretty cool.
Well, I wouldn't have had Oh, well, that wasn't one of your top 5. I wouldn't have had you
No,
worse
no,
buzzer beater anyway.
no. Christian Leitner doesn't make the list, but it's got to be at least be an honorable mention because,
No,
well,
it's a Duke thing.
yeah, exactly.
No, Jerry Stackhouse would block us if we had
Wait.
that on. Oh, never mind.
Oh yeah, come back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. It's at 2:00. We will be having a great show as always. We'll be talking about baseball some more, see what happens tonight on their agreements and whatnot. Hopefully we'll come to one, and should be a great show. So you guys stick with us on Main Street Sports Day tomorrow at 2:00. Come back, we appreciate it. We'll see you then.